Welcome in, LSU fans, to another edition of the Bengal Tiger podcast. My name is Bryce Koon alongside Matthew Brune, and we appreciate you watching over on the YouTube channel, or maybe you're checking us out on those podcast platforms. Make sure you subscribe, follow us on all those platforms, and continue to get those numbers. The road to 10K subs, Brune, which this coaching search might push us on the YouTube channel over that, but make sure you subscribe. We appreciate everyone. The numbers continuing to grow. And, sir, Thursday evening, as we record this, it'll be out on Friday.
I'm
Battle
thinking,
Louisiana tonight, right?
yeah, LSU versus Southeastern women's basketball. Tune in ESPN or no SCC Network Plus. I think it's got it, so tune into that. But coaching search on the Bengal Tiger On3. We honestly should probably just spend this whole time just reading off names and resumes, and that'll get us to 10K alone.
Just don't put what if I just turn my pros and cons list into a 10-minute solo video of me just going through every single coach? I think that would work out and people would cuss me out online, but that's not something that I'm not used to. So Drinkwitz was today. That was received very different.
I think I have a point on every single coach at this point. Like, I think in my head I have, and I not like everybody has their flaws, but I'm just like, I'm getting into on the board with respect to posters. Obviously, all these people, they know football if you're on our message boards typically and stuff. But we'll
cancel your subscription if you don't. But yes.
No, yeah, if you don't know ball, you cannot be on the Bengal Tiger On3. Yeah. But I'm like, Drinkwitz, everyone's like, oh, this, that, and the other in terms of his record and stuff. I'm like, the last 3 years have been like 11 wins, 10 wins, and they're 6-2 right now. I mean, yeah, he looks dorky, but I mean, they're winning games at Missouri right now. Let's give him a little bit of credit.
You can't trust a man with glasses, is what I think.
That's why I stopped wearing mine.
Yeah, I'm fully in contacts right now. So
me too.
No, it's a fun time. So make sure you come over and head out or hang out with us before we head out to Tuscaloosa this weekend, all throughout the weekend, which is kind of weird, Brune. This is a preview podcast.
Yes,
we have a game to talk about this weekend. That's the crazy part about it. If you haven't already, you can check out the Behind Enemy Lines episode with Tim Watts of Bama Online. Charlie Potter and Brune went for a little VIP discussion over on the site where you can get some insight into this Alabama team. And I guess let's just start here. Alabama and LSU is a matchup that each and every single year, I'll just tell you, like, for me growing up, this decided who went to Atlanta, just about. In terms of the SEC West, this is as classic gets, and two SEC Titans going at it. It's weird there's not as much fanfare around this game. Brune, I don't know what it is. I'm rolling into this game with some initial feelings of like, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen, but I do believe this LSU team is going to come out firing. I do not think they're going to have anything left in the chamber when they leave. I think they're going to fire all their bullets. And I'll say this, and this is more props to you, because after that Ole Miss game this year under the previous head coach, I think you left and I left feeling they didn't do everything possible to go win that football game. I do not think that'll be a problem. I don't know if they'll win. I don't know if they'll lose. But I just wanted to get your initial thoughts on that statement right there. Do you feel like this is a game where you see LSU under Frank Wilson lay it all out there, and win or lose, fans can at least say, you know what, we tried everything. Like Michael Van Buren got some packages. Like everything was put on the table.
Yeah, this will be the game where Alex Atkins and Frank Wilson, maybe even Cortez Hankton, all of them will do the things that they've been wanting to do the past 8 weeks. And I'm not saying there was dissension or anything like that in terms of coaching staff, but at any time you're a coach or a position coach, you want maybe something to be ran more, or you want a package in more often or something like that. But ultimately, Brian Kelly and Joe Sloan were running the show there. And we can say Alex Atkins was the run game coordinator, but if your OC is not calling run plays, then what are you coordinating, right?
What does that title mean?
Yeah. So I feel like this is the game where you're like, all right, this is the run we want to on 2nd and 7, like every single time. This is what we want to go to on 3rd and short. Like this is where you get to see Atkins, Wilson, Hankton, all this staff, what they've been wanting to run, I think, for the majority of the season. And that's not to say that we're going to see some completely new style of offense or anything like that, but I think we see a team that at the very least is going to try on 1st and 2nd downs to get into 3rd and manageable, because that's the thing that LSU has done the worst at compared to anybody in the SEC, really, is getting its third and manageables, and that's been the difference in games against Vanderbilt, even A&M when it was competitive. Like, you have to be able to win on first and second downs, and I think even with them having some success lately with Harlan Berry running the ball, they still never committed to it. I think we see them commit to the run. I think we see Alex Atkins have his thumbprint on this game. And again, whether it works or not, whether Harlan Berry and Durham rush for 150 yards combined, I don't know. But at the very least, they're going to try, like you said, to empty the chamber here and do these things. Like, they're not saving anything for Arkansas, Oklahoma, or anything like that.
What about Western Kentucky?
Yeah, or Western Kentucky. Sorry.
No, listen, I think you hit the nail right on the head when you talked about they're not going to save anything. And I like how you talk about Alex Atkins, because for me, if you're Alex Atkins, you've held the OC position at Charlotte in 2019. You helped them get to their first ever bowl game. And then you took over the offensive line and OC role at Florida State. Now, it's very much up for debate. Was that really Mike Norvell calling the plays, or what did it really look like? Regardless, whether you're in Baton Rouge or not, you have a 4-game audition if you're Alex Atkins to showcase why you should deserve an OC job somewhere next year. And so when you get into the conversation about, we talk a lot about, okay, players are auditioning. This is an audition for coaches as well. I mean, this is an opportunity. Tim Rattay is going to be the quarterback's coach the rest of the way. I don't necessarily know his ties in terms of would he stay in Baton Rouge depending on who's hired, but I can tell you he's auditioning for a job next year somewhere. So that is why I feel fairly confident, and in backing up what we've said here, they are going to throw the kitchen sink at Alabama. Like, I don't think you leave a stone unturned in terms of what you could do. And that's why on the teleconference on Wednesday, Frank Wilson, he's told us multiple times that Garrett Nussmeier is quarterback one. And Brune, we can talk about this. But I think in this game specifically, you have to utilize Michael Van Buren. Like, it is something you have to do to be able to go win the game. I don't see a path, and I'm not sure if you're still writing about this or not, but the path to a win here, I don't know if it's doable without seeing number 11 in some capacity on the football field on Saturday night.
The only way is something that I'm not sure, going back to the run game here, is that they're able to just control the clock and get a run game that we haven't seen. Yeah, shorten the game in that way, which is one of the keys to the game for me. You cannot get this into a shootout. You cannot let this be a high possession game because Alabama will wear you down. I think if nothing else, you need it for some quarterback option type things. You need it just for the run game supplement. Now, the problem I've had, and Nussmeier was not good enough in the A&M game or anything like that, but in the Vanderbilt game, Nussmeier was arguably the second best offensive player you had in that game. And so you now have stretches where Nussmeier is really good and can help carry this offense. And then you have stretches where Nussmeier is nowhere near good enough because the offensive line is falling apart around him, and he makes mistakes and he's not mobile. And as a result, that's where you'd like to see Michael Van Buren come into the game. It's just hard for me to say, and I think we can only assess it when we see it, is how do these tackles hold up? If there's no hope that these tackles block anybody, I don't think there's a chance Garrett Nussmeier. I don't even know if he leaves the game healthy, but B, I don't see any way in which he has an efficient outing at the quarterback position, and that's where you would put in Michael Van Buren to hopefully just be like, all right, we're going to try to run some simple concept stuff, maybe some simple runs, simple throws, and if we get beat off the edges, just go run. Go run for 4 yards and just do your best.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I was looking at some of the and posted an article today, the Analytical Takes, college football graphs. If you've never checked them out, it's a free service, and they do a fantastic job of breaking.
Shout out Parker Fleming, I think.
Parker Fleming does a great job. Tried to tag him in the tweet, wouldn't let me tag him in the tweet of the article today. But really, if you want to get into some of the fine data points of this game, Alabama is not great defensively against quarterback design runs. They're not great in yards before contact. That's something that LSU has trended up in the last 3 games especially yards before contact, not designed runs. Never forget, lost in this coaching shuffle was you split out Trey Dez, you had 3 receivers to the right, and you run the draw with the quarterback keeper with Garrett Nussmeier. I don't want to see that. But it feels like when you look at some of the analytics, you look at some of the numbers, and you watch the games, so when you compare stats and the eye test, it's something that Alabama it's been one of their weaknesses. They're not without flaws. They're a really, really good football team. But it would seem like malpractice if you don't try to utilize that. And we've been talking about borderline malpractice from the staff at certain times. I don't think we see that on Saturday. That's why I do believe Van Buren, to your point of, yes, if, Nussmeier either gets hurt or the tackles can't play, even if he's playing well, like, I think that you have to be able to switch some things up and change some things up. And, like I said, throw the kitchen sink at Alabama. The tackles, let's talk about that for a second. So Brian Kelly,
Whoa, get him out of here. He who shall not be named.
I'm sorry.
Has just been named
today.
No. Brian Kelly's going to come out like
it's like
Voldemort.
It's like
just
Beetlejuice.
Walk on
you don't say his name.
Yeah, Beetlejuice
times.
is going to run out here.
Shout out Beetlejuice. Brune's going to think it's hilarious. Lives in my hometown now, apparently.
I won't say his name because that's 3 times.
That would be 3 times. So let's don't say that name.
Continue.
Anyways, so where were we?
Frank Wilson
spoke to the media this week and mentioned flipping Weston Davis to the left side. So, yes.
Why not?
Look, if Carius Kern cannot go, we know Tyree Adams is out.
Yeah.
It's going to be Chester and Davis. Brune, they don't have anybody else. Like, I mean, is that just
correct?
I don't think there's much of a decision to be made. Like, unless Josh Thompson has found footwork in the past 2 weeks to be able to play on the outside,
then you have to find a guard.
Beyond those two, who do you have?
No, nobody. I mean, and Carius Kern was listed as probable on the official, injury report, or whatever that means. We'll see if he plays or not.
Confuse LT Overton.
Trying to throw him off his game. Yeah. The film studies have been really intense for that defensive line for Alabama. But yeah,
we're laughing so we don't cry. By the way, so yeah, keep going.
But yes, Weston Davis, DJ Chester, gosh, why am I playing on Carius Kern? Now, the 3 of them obviously, hopefully, are healthy and can play in this game. The thing is I think for most of them, they've been better run blockers than pass blockers this year. I don't have PFF grades in front of me. I'm just speaking on what we've seen to this point. You have to try to give them some sort of advantage here because the last thing you want is a 3rd and 8, a 3rd and 10, a 3rd and 12. There's zero chance. We saw this against A&M. They have zero chance at blocking them. Mm-hmm. Like, this game is going, and I said this about the past 2 games, really, because Vanderbilt and A&M. This game's going to be won on first downs for LSU. Like, you have to be able to get into 2nd and 7, or even if it's 2nd and 8, like, give yourself a puncher's chance here to where you can get ahead of the sticks. It's just really been hard to watch this year because not only do they not have tackles that can pass block, but the thing that would help them is running the ball, and LSU has not done that in any capacity to this point. So, again, has anybody been perfect? No. I mean, even Braylon Moore has had his ups and downs. He's been injured. He's been, going through things. But ultimately, the offensive line is why we're sitting here right now talking about a team without a head coach. And I don't see that changing, especially against a defensive front that, like you said, Alabama's defense has not been foolproof this season. It has not been elite. I mean, they allowed 22 to South Carolina, 24 to Missouri. And you go down, I mean, obviously the Florida State game is what it is, but like.
That's LSU's sweet spot, by the way, 22 to 24. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a team where in theory you can run the ball, but we have to see them commit to it. I have to see these things before I believe in them happening. And I understand it's a new coaching staff, but I just need to see it.
We'll talk defense here in just a second because I think that's, if you're wanting to watch things potentially for next April, this game is a game you're going to want to watch. Alabama's offense versus LSU's defense. Delane against, if it's Bernard, if it gets Williams, Isaiah Horton should be coming back in this game fully healthy. NFL and NFL talent. And I asked Delane, I said, hey, is this the kind of game you come to LSU for? And he goes, yeah. He said, when you're in the portal, you want to put better tape out there for scouts. This is why you come to LSU, for opportunities like that. But before we kind of dive into the defensive side of the football, I wanted to go back to Frank Wilson's comments and then it was kind of harped on again. I wrote about this on Wednesday. This idea that Blake Baker wanted to and requested for more inside zone and run plays, and they had 9-on-7 drill and all this kind of stuff, Brune. Is that just a fun talking point to get fans fired up, or do you think there's any type of tangible – do you think there will be any type of tangible evidence that, hey, this worked on Saturday? Because Alabama's run game hasn't been dynamic. Their offensive line run blocking hasn't been at the top of the SEC. They've had their moments, but it really has been a lot of Ty Simpson doing some things. So when we talk about whether that inside zone run is going to help LSU's offensive line or help an LSU defense, how much are you buying stock into that narrative, I guess, heading into the weekend?
In terms of LSU being able to run the ball?
In terms of LSU, yeah. Well, on either side of the football. Like that whole concept of
or just the concept of physicality.
The concept of physicality, yeah.
That we have not seen this year. Look, I think it's real. I think there is a real tangible point in terms of the team not opting out, the team hopefully sticking together, having former players come in and talk to the team, players liking Frank Wilson a lot more than they liked Brian Kelly. Like, I think there's like something to all of that. I think there is something to be said about football players going out and playing football over the bye week, being able to hit each other, having a Tiger Bowl to where, you know, the backups can play in this game. Like, at the end of the day, the physicality that's lacked over the past few years, like, that's what you're trying to pull out of these guys. Now, can you do that in just 1 week or 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Like, when you're going on the road against Alabama, I don't know. Especially if Alabama punches you in the face and you go down 10-0 in the first quarter. Like, are you still happy to go be physical and go try to hit somebody? I don't know. But in terms of preparation, I can't ask for anything more. I think the way Frank Wilson and this staff have handled the past week and a half has been tremendous. I think this is about as well as you could do. You still, at least from an outside perspective looking in, have enough buy-in for this game in particular. You have players looking to be physical. You have players wanting to be physical and play with an edge. Now it's just about doing that and trying to hang with the number 4 team in the country on the road.
Yeah.
It would be a lot easier if I said all that and then they were going to play Arkansas or Western Kentucky, where like you can get some momentum maybe. But if Alabama gets the ball first or something and Ryan Williams breaks a 40-yard touchdown reception and then you go 3 and out on the other side, are you still having that mindset that you had on Wednesday and be like, yeah, I'm pumped to go play this game? I don't know. We don't know the answer to that. That's what we have to find out.
Yeah, I mean, and look, it's all due respect to what Frank Wilson has done. You just have to wonder what the validity of a lot of these things are when you do get punched in the mouth. Because regardless if you win or lose a game, you're going to be punched repeatedly by this Alabama team on Saturday. They're going to throw some haymakers, and they're going to land a couple of them. How do you respond? Is the one heartbeat, one drum, is that real? I mean, like, I'll say this, Brune. All that stuff's cool to talk about all week, and it's cool to put on a T-shirt, much like 1-0 was. But are you really about it? And I think that's the one thing you're going to learn, and it's going to make, if they get blown out, it's going to make the rest of the season very interesting to watch what the buy-in level is going to be.
I don't know what to do with my 1-0 shirt, Bryce.
My daughter's wearing mine right now.
Damn.
She needs one. She's 8-3 now. Brutal.
Damn. Drop down. That's all right.
1-0 losing streak.
Keep the 1-0 shirt going. I got to make a final lines pick.
We didn't feed her yesterday as part of that. So yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Please don't call DFACs. In all seriousness. Okay, so we kind of talked about, I guess, the big overarching themes. You hinted at this. You got to be able to run the football. So we kind of talked about that offensively. Going to LSU's defense, man, I'm excited to watch because does it strictly come down to this? We know Blake Baker's going to want to play man coverage, right? Like, you know that Delane's going to have one guy, Woodland and Pickett. You're going to have really great games from them. Can you generate enough pressure with just 4, maybe 5? And I know people are tired of talking about him, but is this finally the time just to let Harold Perkins go rush the passer and see what happens? Like, do you have to just empty out the deck here and say, look, that's probably what he's best at, and we've got to find a way to disrupt Simpson? Because if you give him time, dude, he will light you up.
I know they're different quarterbacks, but he had the green light to do that against Pavia, and I just don't know right now if Perkins is the player that we want him to be. Like, I have not I can't get all the way in with being like, all right, well, this is the game Perkins is going to break out, or this is the game Perkins could have a really strong game as a pass rusher, because it's just at this point we're talking about a 2023 player, like at best, maybe even 2022 player. And so obviously the athleticism is there, but in terms of Simpson, I really am concerned, like you said, that he's going to have time to pick this defense apart, no matter how good Delane, Woodland, Pickett are, no matter how good I think Halsey is and Cooley in coverage and stuff. Ultimately, if they do not get pressure on him, he is going to dice them up. What's this touchdown to interception ratio this year? 20-1? Is that correct?
20-1? I think so, yeah.
I mean, that's tough.
Well, let me ask you this then. Okay, so I'm with you. I don't think Harold Perkins is going to break out, but I'm saying, then who are you going to utilize there? Because
so this has been the problem the past two games.
So
nobody
had 2 weeks to figure it out.
Yeah, we have to see something we haven't seen the last 2 weeks, and honestly, something we haven't seen against a team with a good offense this year. We have to see either Patrick Payton, we have to see Bernard Gooden, we have to see this whole unit as a front, especially if Whit Weeks is not playing. That's a whole different animal. Yeah. But this front, let's just stay on this front four, we have to see them play the best game of the season. Because to this point, against teams with decent to good offenses, LSU has not been able to affect the passer the way they wanted to. You can say, yeah, they got to Pavia. They didn't bring him down, though, which is a part of, like, even Sellers, they got to him. Eventually they brought him down, but he still ran around. Like, Simpson is mobile-ish, but he's not a runner like those other quarterbacks that I just named. Mm-hmm. So in theory, if you get to him, you should be able to bring him down, but I need to see them get to him. I need to see them affect him. I need to see them make him make throws under pressure. And I'm not sure. I can't go into the game saying that that's going to happen because I need to see it first.
Well, and I'll tell you what worries me, because I think he's going to be a top 15 pick. Caden Proctor can eliminate one side of the field in terms of that pass rush. And you don't have a guy who can win a one-on-one battle with relatively consistent play. Like, you just don't have that. I mean, you and I have talked about this. It feels like so long ago, but I remember in that immediate reaction after the A&M game, you were like, hey, look, Peyton is a nice complementary piece, but he's not winning one-on-one battles to get back there against good offensive linemen. Jack Pyburn does not have an extensive repertoire of pass rush moves. You are missing Gabriel Relaford. Everyone behind him, I just don't know. I guess, what would you go to? You are Blake Baker. You're Kevin Peoples. You're Kyle Williams. Like, what do you just sell out and say we're going to have to send 6 or 7, or what would be your game plan for this game? Because I don't know what you do.
No, I think there is validity to being ultra aggressive here and trying to force takeaways. But at the same time, I do think this is fairly different. And you can correct me and give your perspective on Simpson here. I think you are able to drop 8 a little bit more than you were in the other games, because ultimately against Reed and whatnot, like, those guys just kind of found the lanes and ran into them. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Simpson is going to do that to where you can drop 8 and be comfortable and have safety help. But man, I still don't see how you get enough pressure or you make him uncomfortable enough. You can drop 8 and still, if he has time, I think he's able to find a Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard. The tight ends are really solid. Like, they have enough weapons here to where I don't love this defense. Also, I don't love this, like, the zone defense this year for LSU, not to get too granular here, has been significantly worse than the man defense, in my opinion. And that's why they kept trying to play man against, like, Vanderbilt and A&M and tried to spy the quarterback so that way they could play man, and it just never worked. The quarterbacks just kept running all over them. So I think you have to try to play man, but and if you do that, what is Perkins' role? I think he's a pass rusher primarily. But then what does, like, Devon Keys and West Weeks and those linebackers do? It's a mess, really, because your best unit is your secondary, and you can't complement them.
So, Brune, you remember you and I were sitting next to each other in the press box against A&M, and that first half we saw, without Whit Weeks, they slid Perkins into inside linebacker.
Yeah.
a little bit more. Could we see something? And I know I'm asking you questions you can't answer because you're not in the room.
No, but I am
making these
good
decisions.
with that. I think
But
that's
yeah,
a
could you
realistic
slide them
option.
inside? I mean, let's say you drop. Okay, let's say you're playing with West and Perkins in the middle.
Yeah.
You've got your 4 down linemen. That leaves you with 5 defensive backs, your 2 safeties, and you can rotate. I mean, you have to have a different star. So what are you throwing?
You would,
Spears
you
in
would
there,
put Woodland
or a
and
nickel
Pickett
corner
on the field together
Yeah.
with across from.
I mean, I'll just say this: I think that's your best bet. I don't know. I think it is to
Now the question is, can you stop the run in that?
I think that you have to try to take away the passing game.
I
If they
agree.
run the ball on you,
Yeah.
all right. I mean, that's just what it is. But
And honestly, it kind of works in your favor. You know, you
it slows the
run the
game
ball, limit explosive plays, which LSU against these good offenses has given up some explosive plays fairly regularly. You want to shrink the field down. I agree with you. I think you have to force them to run the ball. I mean, they ran the ball for 72 yards against South Carolina. Alabama did. And just throughout the season, I don't think this is a bad rushing offense, but I mean, Jam Miller is good, not great. Like he had 26 yards against South Carolina. I think that has to be the approach here is bend, don't break type style. Run the ball, make them use clock, make them sustain drives. And ultimately they might score, but they might settle for 3. Like all you need is a window here. You can't have your back broken. You can't like just get killed in the first quarter here. I would want them to sustain drives.
Well, you need exactly the first half you had against A&M is what it is. If they're going to drive the length of the field on you, you're going to force them to go 70, 80 yards, play the field position game with Chadwick, and hope that they make mistakes inside the 10 to 15-yard line, which is what Texas A&M did. My biggest thing is, and I hear you, like I don't want to see this team get run on, but I will tell you this: I think it's going to be a very, very long day if Simpson has 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds in that pocket, because then it becomes 7-on-7, and that's Alabama's strength at that point. Like you're essentially eliminating the trenches, and I don't care how good Delane is, I don't care how good Woodland and Pickett, you can't ask those guys to cover what their stable of receivers for that long. That's just not sustainable. You can't do that. And I don't think we already know, like that touchdown interception ratio, he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. So you either have to force him to make the mistakes or bait him into some stuff, which I kind of think that's where Cooley and Halsey have to come into play. They've done a couple of times where they've baited some throws over the middle. We'll see what happens with that, but I don't know. You want to go? I like this. I had this written down. Player on each side of the ball. If LSU wins this game, this guy's got to have a good game. You go first.
Okay, offensively, I'm just going to spam Trades Green. I said it the last 2 weeks, just like the offense should be doing. I'm just going to keep spamming Trades Green. And I think the versatility that he has is so underrated. Another thing that I wrote last week, I guess at this point, was included in the changes of the offense that we could potentially see. And it's not only more Trades Green, but more just over the middle passing. And I know Green is great in one-on-one situations on the perimeter, but like he is also very comfortable catching slants, and we see he makes guys miss and he attacks from there. So I'll go Trades Green on offense.
Yeah, so I was going to go Green if you didn't. I'm going Harlem Berry. You desperately need a guy to make at least 1 or 2 guys miss. Yeah. They've been better at running the football here as of late in LSU, but you need Berry to have a good game. Like if he can. I'll say this, if he's at 50 rushing yards at halftime by himself, I think LSU's in this ball game heading into the half. If he hits 50 before the half, then I think it's I'm not saying you're leading or but it's a 1-score game type of opportunity, because that means you've established something. Or like we talked about, Brune, he has broken off a big run to at least allow them to respect it a little bit. So that's my offensive guy. I'm going to double up here, a little snake draft action. Defensively, Bernard Good. I think this is everything we talked about in fall camp with this guy. I need to see him embarrass somebody up front. Like I need to see the violence that he plays with, the anger, the frustration, all of this stuff. When you talk about emotions, he's the guy, and really Jacoby and Guillory too, maybe more in the run game. But Bernard Gooden's the guy that if you can create some type of penetration from up the middle, I think it changes a lot. I was going back and watching, Brune, that Georgia game. Now, Georgia's front seven is not nearly what they have been in terms of some of the guys. But you go back and watch that game, in that second half, Alabama didn't score a lot. They may not have scored until
I don't
the
think they
final
did
quarter.
score.
They may not have scored at all, but
let me see.
I can't remember off the top of my head. But you go back to that game, Georgia started to get some penetration up the middle with Christian Miller. They started to utilize linebacker C.J. Allen and some of those stunts up the middle. And I thought that Glenn Schumann did a really good job of that. But those guys won battles up the middle. Ty Simpson, I want him on the move, if that makes sense. Like, I want him forced to roll out. So if Gooden can win some battles in the middle, I think that would be a major, major plus. So I'm going Harlan Berry on offense, Bernard Gooden on defense. Who you got on the defensive side of the ball?
What are the odds Weeks plays in your head? Like what percentage?
Have I turned my PlayStation off yet, or I don't know, man. I mean,
like 20.
You need him. Let's go 25 to 30%.
Yeah, it feels optimistic, I guess, at this point. Man, they need him. Just absolutely need him as the linebacker spot to blow something up and make some plays and just try to insert some life into this defense here. But since I don't think he's going to play either, I'll go with AJ Halsey. I've said it before how high I am on him, but I think when he's been at his best, they've been able to play man. They've been able to use him as a robber of sorts, and to where he can help take away some of the deep stuff. But when he can break on a play, he's not the fastest guy. He's not the quickest. Mm-hmm. I mean, he is instinctual all the way, and I think he has really great ball skills. If they're going to win this game, they're going to need Ty Simpson to throw a pick. Yeah, like flat out. And I think Halsey is going to be the one that does that.
I mentioned it earlier. He's done a good job of baiting quarterbacks into some throws over the middle there.
Did against Marcel Reed. People forget about that pick.
Ooh.
But
we were so lit. We were so lit, man.
Like they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it.
Gosh. Yeah. And then the second half happened. Before we get out of here, I want to tell you about our friends over at Game Time. They do a fantastic job. You're still looking for tickets, and truthfully, man, make sure you're there next weekend. LSU Arkansas. It's an 11:45 a.m. kick. But I think this team, especially if they fight, I think you could see a solid. This might be crazy, Brune. I think you'd see a better crowd for that 11:45 Arkansas game now that Brian Kelly's
gone.
Like, I genuinely think you will, because a lot of people love Frank Wilson, and these kids are playing for something more than themselves. You use code ON3 and get a discount. That's $20 off your first order there today. Make sure you take advantage of that. If not, Pels are playing. They're playing basketball.
Trying to play basketball.
They are on the court and playing basketball.
Saints are on the field trying to play football as well.
But you know what? LSU men and women's basketball, you can also use Game Time with them too. So make sure you check out our friends over there.
Yes, you can.
And then BetMGM, as we always talk about them, they do a fantastic job supporting the show all season long. Brune's going to have his final lines out, and he is going to be diving into those numbers tonight.
7-1 this year.
Yeah, he's really good at it, and he's done it with the help of BetMGM. So make sure you take advantage of what they've got going on. Fantastic company to work with. All right, Brune, before we get out of here, let's go final score predictions. I know we don't typically do this, but I feel like it's a new era of LSU football.
Let's do it.
So let's go. The projected, by the way, CFP Graphs does a great job. The projected margin is Alabama 17.5. The projected total over under is 47.6. Projected score 32-15. I'm gonna go.
Sorry, let me look at the updated betting spread here.
It was 9.5 last night. I saw.
Yeah, let me see what it is now. Sorry, you can make your pick.
You're good. I'm gonna go my pick. I think this is going to be a game in halftime. I think it'll end up being a double-digit Alabama win on the road. LSU, I just don't know if they have enough in the tank to be able to take down this Alabama team. I don't trust this pass rush to get home enough. I'd love to be wrong, but I'm taking final score Alabama 34, LSU 17.
I do think, as I look at it, and I'll make my official pick tomorrow in terms of final.
This isn't official.
Well, in terms of final lines, LSU plus 6.5 first half is interesting.
I like that.
I do feel like if there's any way they're going to cover, it's going to be first half. I agree. I just don't think they have enough horses and here to get this thing over the hump at Alabama. I'd love to be shocked. I would love to just be there and watch something that few, if any, are predicting. But and maybe this is a good thing because I've been wrong a lot this year about this team. I kept trying to buy in to this team. I kept trying to say, yeah, they're going to beat Ole Miss. They're going to beat Vanderbilt. They're going to beat A&M. Yeah, no, that never happened. And I said they were going to lose to Clemson. So really, I need to get on the horse here. I need to get going. I'm going to take Alabama, and maybe that jinxes them. But give me Alabama. I think the defense does enough to make it respectable. 31-20.
I like it. We're in that same range.
Yeah.
We're in that same range. I like it. LSU, Alabama, we'll have coverage from Tuscaloosa this weekend. Brune's got basketball throughout the weekend there as well. Make sure you check out and hang out with us over at the Bengal Tiger. Remember, you can get that $1 for a week, and you get an annual subscription to The Athletic on top of it. It's a fantastic deal. Make sure you come and hang out with us. The board was popping off today with some Nick Saban comments. We appreciate those people in that chat talking with it. We love it. We love it. So thanks for the view.
We do love it. Thank you all.
Thanks for the view, and thanks for continuing the threads there as well. Let me know who you want me to throw in the coaching pipeline. Just wait till I get down to Navy offensive coordinator Drew Cronick, or will Paul Johnson come out of retirement and coach the triple option at LSU next year?
I want Bryce to get to like 25 coaching profiles written. That's my goal.
No one laughed at my joke in the text today. I said the next one's Berry College head football coach Tony Krzyzewski. Why LSU should pick up the phone. That's
in all seriousness, headline. If we get down in a couple weeks and they're like, yeah, Lane's not coming, a couple other top ones aren't coming, I'm going to make sure you write that Eric Morris story, North Texas. So just wait.
I really could have just sent this pod into a tailspin with talking about some things, but I'm not going to.
Do the Josh Pate, be like Lincoln Riley.
Yeah. No, that's neither here nor there. North Texas trying to make a run. If they do, Bengal Tigers going to go on the road with North Texas. It's confirmed. So there we go. Matthew Brune, my name's Bryce Koon. Thanks so much for subscribing. Continue to check out all the content. We appreciate you, and we will catch you next time here on the Bengal Tiger Podcast.